Outrage Dragonite, Pursuit Absol, Razorleaf Decidueye, Psychic Mr. Mime, Flail Snorlax. What do these all have in common? Well, they are bad. Now hold on. Before you get upset with me, let me explain what I mean by that. And also, let me start with this. Jake, your resident content cowboy here. Yeehaw, the gameplay you're watching in the background is me playing a bad build, Pyro Ball Feint Cinderace. First, let me say this. I think that you can win at this game with just about any build, even inside builds that are relatively trollish.
Dash one Piridens Venusaur. How does that sound?
Okay. I think you can win matches. So don't get me wrong, just because I say Razorleaf Decidueye or Outrage Dragonite are bad, it doesn't mean that you can't play well with them, play much better than most of your team, and win a lot of your matches with them. And to that point, I actually think you should be able to play characters you want, builds you want, items you want. It's a game, you should be having fun with it, and you should be doing what you want inside of it. If you like Fire Punch Charizard, go for it. Fire Punch the day away with that Charizard. So, now that that is out of the way, let me talk to you about why some builds are bad and some builds are good. Let's first start off with why a build like Outrage Dragonite is bad. One of the biggest reasons a build can be bad is the build that you could pick otherwise is so much better. This is the case with Outrage Dragonite. Outrage is a decent move. You can get some things done with it inside of a match. You can brawl with it a little bit. It has some fun interactions. I like it. I like playing with it. Hyper Beam is so much better, it's not even in the same galaxy. And you know, something worth mentioning is that these builds aren't the same. They don't perform the same function, so you could be trying to play Dragonite in a different way. I totally understand that. But let me just set the table a little bit. When you have Hyper Beam Dragonite, you can secure objectives like almost no other Pokemon in the game. You are a force to be reckoned with inside the match with Hyper Beam. With Outrage, you are kind of a brawler that isn't as good as Machamp, Zarina, Pokemon like that. If you want to play like that, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Again, however, there are other Pokemon that do that job better. That's another thing that makes a build bad. The first is comparing it to its counterpart. Comparing it to Hyper Beam, we can see that Outrage is not so great because Hyper Beam is so great. Some Pokemon builds are actually a lot closer than you would think. So a Pokemon like Pikachu, pretty much every moveset on Pikachu is pretty good. There really isn't a bad build for Pikachu. There are ones that are maybe a little less ideal, probably the least ideal being Volt Tackle Thunder, or a Pokemon like Venusaur. While Petal Dance Giga Drain is, in my opinion, a better build, Solar Beam still has some pretty great utility, and I think there is an argument that both are pretty good while one is a bit better. It's just on a character like Dragonite, one is a lot better. Now let's talk about another way a build could be bad, and I want to talk about a Pokemon like Razorleaf Decidueye. Decidueye is a really cool Pokemon. I think it was built, and finally they figured out how to make it a sniper. This Pokemon has an amazing utility as a sniper inside the game. It's really the only Pokemon that performs at range the way it does. Even its Unite move wants you to be very far away. Its secures are amazing, the damage it provides is amazing, and it's very squishy. This is really important, so when enemies dive in on it, it's in a lot of trouble. Razorleaf, on the other hand, is not close range, but much closer range and forces you as Decidueye to be in the fight a little bit. Again, much like Outrage, this is a playable build that you can win with. Some professional teams have tried Razorleaf Decidueye, so it's not like this build has no value. It's just that this is a situation where I think this build is actually a little counterintuitive to how this Pokemon is designed. It just isn't set up to be close enough to take advantage of situations like this. Don't get me wrong, when it's ripping things to shreds with Razorleaf, it is a very fun situation. It's cool to play. I like it. But this Pokemon is actually built for something else, so it's confusing when you're playing it that way. You know what it reminds me of a little bit is a Pokemon like Rollout Wigglytuff. I love Rollout Wigglytuff with all my heart. I would marry it, but it keeps telling me no, and I keep proposing every week. So Rollout Wiggly feels like a very, very, very niche, specific Wigglytuff that is really, really cool and also not what you want out of Wigglytuff. You just don't expect it to be rolling around, scoring. You expect it to be tanky in the fight, putting enemies to sleep. That's what's happening, I think, with Decidueye and Spirit Shackle and Razorleaf. Is Spirit Shackle feels like it really leans into what Decidueye was designed to do, and Razorleaf really leans into this fun build, but boy, you're just such a paper thin character to be trying to shred things. Also, just for whatever it's worth, the game happens to be really, really focused on burst damage. Last hits, taking things out is a lot more important than shred. So that's a side thing, but it's just something else to notice. Razorleaf, I think, falls behind Spirit Shackle quite a bit because in this sense, it's just not what the Pokemon's built for. Along that same line, sometimes I think a build feels bad like Flail Snorlax because you're not fulfilling the role that your team would expect that character to be bringing to the table. So you expect when you see a Snorlax, in fact now maybe not, maybe you expect Flail because everyone runs Flail on this character, but you expect that Pokemon to really be displacing the enemy, moving them around. When you are paired with a good Snorlax that is heavy slamming and blocking, oh my gosh, what an amazing tank for your team. It's an incredible defender. It feels like a true defender. When it's flailing, yeah, you can do some damage, get some surprising KOs, but it just feels like you're not fulfilling that Pokemon's role, really. And I think builds do sometimes fall into this area where, oh, we really thought that you were in this match to do this and you aren't doing this. That is another reason a build could be bad. Sometimes a build is bad simply because the move just isn't the move. I mean, let's face it. Pursuit on Absol is a fun move. It's not even close. It's just not close. The other moveset is so much better. It's 2 dashes. It's tons of damage. The way it pairs with Psycho Cut's insane. Again, playable. You can win with it. It's still Absol right now, right? But it's not even close to as good. That happens sometimes as well, where just one move is so wrong compared to the other. The biggest example of this, I feel like, is Mr. Mime with Psychic and Confusion. I like Guard Swap Psychic Mime. It's just not even close to Confusion. Confusion is so much better. It's not there. It's not there. I wish it was. I feel like I'm doing a little Mr. Mime for you right now. It's not there. I wish it was. But Mr. Mime is put in a box, and this box right now that you can't get out of is Confusion, because Psychic is just not the move. So sometimes one specific move can really make the difference. So I've talked a lot about what makes a build bad. I guess I should talk a little bit about what makes a build good. A lot of the time, you're doing something that is unrivaled, or at least only met at parity inside the meta. So let's say you're a Pokemon like Dragonite, as I mentioned earlier. There are very few Pokemon that can secure like Hyper Beam Dragonite. It just doesn't exist. So this Pokemon has a very, very unique place in the game. Or a Pokemon like Hoopa, who has a few builds that can all kind of work pretty well. There are a lot of Pokemon that can't do what Hoopa can do, or Blissey. There are a lot of Pokemon that can't do what Blissey can do. I highly encourage you to play what you like and get good at it, because as I said earlier, a good outrage Dragonite is way better than a bad Hyper Beam Dragonite, and a good submission Machamp is a lot better than a really bad dynamic punch Machamp. It's true, and I really, really believe that. I also believe that all the time, great players and great plays are changing the way we think about the game. But I've recognized recently, people will come into my streams and they will ask me about builds that I think are just frankly not very good. So that's why I wanted to make this video, to say, 1, maybe I'm wrong about things, 2, play whatever you like and get good with it, and 3, this is why I think some builds are good and some builds are bad. Bad builds just feel like they're not comparable to the other build maybe for that character, and good builds feel like they do something that is unique or very, very strong within the game without question. It's hard because it's all up to personal preference. Someone could love Surf Hurricane Cramorant. I really like playing it, but I don't think it even compares to Dive Cramorant. It's just where that Pokemon is right now. There are a lot of situations like that. So to all my Razorleaf Decidueye fans and Outrage Dragonite fans and Rock Tomb Crustle fans, do you get good with it and get your team to go, wow, that was actually a great Rock Tomb Crustle. That being said, don't play Rock Tomb Crustle. I hope this was fun. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. More cool stuff coming soon. I love you all.